Welcome to the stress-free coding tutorial. Today we will continue to talk about Angular with part 4. If you haven't seen my previous video in which I talk about basic component code, what are decorators and how start and stop Angular server, take a look. I'm stoked, so let's start away because this part will be full of interesting contents. In fact, I tell you about how to generate a component lifecycle hooks, text interpolation. Hey, stop. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. Let's take this one step at a time. Generate new component. First step, we create an empty component. Open the project from Visual Studio Code and then open new terminal. Make a change directory with cd followed by path of app directory, or more simply cd, then drag and drop app element from exploring terminal and press enter. Down this, type command ng space generate space component space the name you want to assign the component, if you will. I will call article list. ng generate command can also be used to create module or service. Once finished, a new directory appears under uproot with the same name assigned to component. Understand how a project has been modified. I go to the source control section of Visual Studio Code, where I find the files that have been added, modified or deleted. Alternatively, from Visual Studio Code Explorer, new files are highlighted in green, modified ones in yellow, and those modified but not yet saved in red. This overview is useful for small projects, but when the files and directories become many, you have to scroll up and down to search change, and for me it becomes stressful. Okay, as you can see, app.module.ts has changed. In metadata section, the declaration array now contains the name of your new component. Now let's take a look at the component. There is a new component decorator with metadata already defined. Selector is app article list and the not app root as in app component. Instead, the metadata refer to the two new files, HTML file and CSS file added in the directory. Now let's take a look to the class code. If you are coming from the object-oriented programming background, you will already know next arguments. Class keyword is followed by implements keyword. In TypeScript, this keyword is used to tell the class, okay, implements on init interface. Interface is a kind of contract. When you define methods or properties, the class must have. Position it with the cursor on the keyword, press F12, or from the context menu, choose definition to view interface code. The constructor keyword, anyway, it defines a basic method called when class was instantiated. Instead, the ng on init keyword defines a lifecycle hook method called when Angular initializes a component. Now you are wondering, okay, but what are hooks? Component lifecycle hooks. A component lifecycle that starts when Angular instantiates the component class and renders the component view. The lifecycle continued with change detection as Angular checks to see when data-bound properties change and update both the view and the component instance. The lifecycle ends when Angular destroys the component instance and removes its rendered template from the document object module. A component responds to user events during its lifecycle by lifecycle hooks. Lifecycle hooks are defined in Angular core library. If you don't have to implement all or any of the cycle hooks, just the ones you need. If you look at the app component code created by the installation of project scaffolder, no lifecycle hooks has been implemented. In order for Angular application to handle a particular event, you will have to write one of the following methods in the code of component live TypeScript file. ng on change respond when Angular sets or resets data-bound input properties. Call before ng on init and whenever one or more data-bound input properties change. If your component has no input or you use it without providing any inputs, the framework will not call ng on changes. ng on init initialize component after Angular first displays the data-bound properties and sets the component input properties when defining visual implementing and on init interface in your component class. It's not mandatory but considered good practice. ng on destroy clean up just before Angular destroys components and detach event handlers to avoid memory leaks. These are the events you will use most often. If you want to depend lifecycle hooks, take a look in the online documentation. Text interpolation. The passage of data between component data logic and HTML templates is called data binding. Angular provides three categories of data binding according to the direction of data flow. From source to view for text interpolation, property, attribute, class, and style. From view to source for event, a two-way sequence of view to source to view. Now we see how using a text interpolation data binding to assign a page title to our component. Text interpolation is one way from data source to HTML template. First of all, declare a class member. For declaring a class member, write a name of a variable in the class body, for example, title. I'm using camel case. Colon, followed by the type string. Well, one of the advantages of TypeScript over JavaScript is to be able to define the types of variable. Visual Studio Code suggests a change code, add undefined type to property title. Now you can already decide to assign value because of a title page is data, but it doesn't change often. Or if you prefer initialize a variable in one place, you can do it in ng on init method. For example, set title as article list. Specify this keyword and then choose class member title equal article list. So switch to HTML page and replace label in paragraph tag with this wording. And now add the name of variable in the bracket in this way. To see preview, move on index HTML from Explorer and add app article list tags. Now run Angular server. You remember how? Type in terminal and gs command. Now open localhost on port 4200 or click link appearing terminal to preview component. I forget to change bootstrap component. In ng module metadata, change app component with the name of your New component, article list component. Now recompile, and now you preview the component content in your page, index page. Now let's give our page a touch of style. Let's go to the CSS file of a component and define a class which we call page or title. Here is your taste. I'm not an expert graphic designer, so assign the values that are proposed to me by IntelliSense of Visual Studio Code. I assign font family, font size, font variant caps, and finally we give some color with the background color property. Now return to the HTML page to preview. Okay, that's all. I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel for next stress-free coding video. Bye.